Hey, hi, this is Vern with Tax Corp. And today I'm going to talk with you about another subject that's pretty important when dealing with the Internal Revenue Service. And that is the Taxpayer's Bill of Rights. So just like when you watch television and you see someone get arrested, or if you've ever been in that situation and the police officer says, hey, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to retain an attorney, blah, blah, blah. Well, you have the same rights when it comes to working with it and dealing with the Internal Revenue Service. Now, there's 10 of them. So anytime that you're dealing with a collection agent, a revenue officer, a revenue agent, a tax examiner, they're required to give you a document which is called Publication 1, Taxpayer Rights. So there's 10 of them. The right to be informed. They're supposed to let you know why they're talking to you and what they're looking for. You have the right to quality service. They need to know what they're doing and how to actually calculate taxes and prepare a tax return or collect. They need to know their job. And if they don't know their job, you have a right to get someone else who might be able to help you a little bit better. You have the right to pay no more than the correct amount of tax. If there's a mistake and you see that there's a mistake and you bring it up to them, you have the right and they're required to change and fix that tax return to reflect the correct amount of tax. You have the right to challenge the position of the IRS and to be heard. If you have a business return and let's say they disallow some expenses, you have the right to appeal that and for your questions and your concerns to be heard. They can't just dismiss it and say, we're the IRS, we're correct, and you're not correct, this is what you're going to pay. That's wrong. Publication 1, right number 4, protects you from that. You have the right to appeal tax decisions. If you get a preliminary assessment and they say you owe $100,000, you have the right to appeal that. You have the right to question their math. You have the right to see the documents that they use to prepare your tax returns and your assessment. You have the right to see what laws and Internal Revenue Code statutes they use in order to calculate the tax. You have the right to finality. A lot of times people will get a letter and they say, oh, you don't owe anything. And then 3 years later, the IRS comes back and says, oh, we made a mistake. You still owe $1,000. Once you have the right to get this thing settled and get a final number, and whether it's a correct number that you agree with or you disagree with it, when it's final, it's final. They don't need to keep coming back year after year and making mistakes and correcting them. You have the right to finality. You have the right to privacy. The IRS cannot disclose your information to anyone under any circumstances unless they've given you due process rights. Due process means that they've advised you that they're going to share this information with someone like a credit bureau, or if there's an investigation, they have the right to subpoena or summons individuals to testify and give testimony against you or with you. The next one they're kind of the same. The right to privacy, number 7, the right to confidentiality, number 8. They're kind of the same, but they're different. Privacy, they're not supposed to disclose this with anyone unless you give them authority to do so. And confidentiality, they cannot share this with anyone unless you give them express permission to do so, or if they have a statutory right to do that. Sometimes they can summons individuals, you can summon your bank records, they can talk to your neighbors if you're in collections to find out where you work, but they have to give you statutory notice and give you an opportunity to appeal that decision. That goes back to right number 5, that you have the right to appeal their decisions. You have the right to retain representation. This is one of the biggest ones that most taxpayers do not take advantage of when they're being questioned or interviewed by the IRS. If they show up at your home or place of business and say, hey, you owe $100,000, we need to get it today, you can say, wait a minute, I need to consult my attorney. I need to talk to my CPA. I need to give Vern a call. He's my enrolled agent. He's my representative. I want to consult with somebody because I have the right to representation. They should stop the interview, give you some documentation, which we'll talk about in other videos, and then you have the right to consult with them, and they have to give you a fair amount of time to consult with your representative to get a better idea of what's going on and figure out a strategy about how you want to move forward. You also have a right to a fair and just tax system. A lot of people will disagree. There are a lot of arguments about whether taxes are fair and are constitutional. If you live in the United States, there are laws, and some of those laws currently say that you have to pay your income taxes. But they have to be fair and they have to be just. And when you feel like they're not fair and just, you have rights. So if a revenue officer, a revenue agent, a tax examiner shows up at your home or place of business, or demands that you come into the office and sit down and have a discussion with them, remember, you have rights. They're enumerated in Publication 1, and all collection officers, revenue officers especially, are required to give this to you at your first interaction with them. So if you've got a tax problem that you're dealing with and you're not sure which direction to go, please do not ignore the IRS. They're not going to go away. They're going to get their money by any means possible sometimes. And so you need to retain your rights as a taxpayer and make sure that you get representation if you need it. We're located in Huntsville, Alabama, but we represent clients. I have clients all over the country, so I'm not barred by only working in Alabama. I can represent you anywhere. Visit us at www.taxcorpllc.com or give us a call at 256-429-9229 or shoot us an email on the screen. Go to our website. You can go to the top bar where it says schedule a time with me and click on it, see my schedule for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Pick a date and time that works for you. We'll give you a telephone free consultation. Doesn't cost you anything to discuss your tax matter with me and get an idea of how I can help you. We'll just give you some basic advice. Remember, it's a free consultation. Doesn't cost you anything, but you'll learn a lot more than you would by not doing anything. So thanks for watching this video. Click the like button and subscribe. Have a great day.